Good afternoon, everyone. It's absolutely lovely to be here at Cyber Week, and even more exciting to be here with Alex Creswell. So, to get started, we don't have a lot of time. Alex, tell me a little bit about you and your road to, well, not to cybercrime, but to dealing with cybercrime.
Thanks, Melanie. So I have a UK national security background. I used to run a division of GCHQ, which is the UK's SIGINT arm, and then I ran the teams of analysts in Number 10 who give the UK Prime Minister their daily briefing. And then I hopped off into cyber insurance. And the interesting thing is, if you're working in cyber in an intelligence agency, you kind of have an endoscope into what the bad guys are doing, and you can see it in great detail, one part of it. But if you work for an insurance company like Beazley, who I work for, they're the biggest provider of cybersecurity insurance in the US and Europe. And so, and here in Israel, we have fantastic partners in Howden brokers and Shay Simkin and his team. But you have like a radar screen, like a metricated radar screen, because you see all the claims coming in across the corporate US and across Europe, and you can see where the harms are happening. So that really helps you understand where we're at in terms of cyber threat.
Okay, so having looked at this evolution, obviously cybercrime has evolved with you and your career, and you say you get at this sort of big picture. Where are we at, from your perspective?
Yeah, so on the AI thing, I just wanted to give you a snapshot of where we are. State actors are now routinely using AI for cyber, and we always knew that intelligence services used AI. I mean, in the UK, the UK intelligence services used AI in the run-up to the London Olympics to triage terrorist threats. And now we're seeing state actors use it systematically for CNE, for computer network exploitation campaigns. And so we've had a couple of reports recently, the Anthropic report, which detailed how a Chinese state actor was subverting Claude, Anthropic's LLM, and using it to conduct a cyber campaign at scale with minimal human intervention. So we saw them, use it and get great speed out of that campaign. The campaign was kind of semi-autonomous. It needed the humans involved, the intelligence officers, to identify the targets for the campaign, and then to intervene only at different points, very few points in an intrusion. So we had parallel intrusion, dynamically coded malware happening. So that was kind of the Claude report, and then Google's threat intelligence group put out a report also last month where they showed how particularly the GRU, the Russian GRU, were using an open source AI, Quen, and they were using the API feed to an open source platform and using that to kind of deploy a dynamic data mining tool. And a lot of what state actors are doing is harvesting credentials. And so, and the fear is, obviously, we've seen it with Stuxnet and NotPetya, is where state actors go, criminals will follow.
So, which is a really interesting, sort of sequence, because, what you're suggesting is the cyber criminals aren't quite using AI in the same ways yet. Now, I would stand by that cyber criminals are some of the most creative people on earth, and I wish we could get their heads around some of our more challenging problems. But why do you think we're seeing this from a state-based lens rather than from the standard cyber criminal lens?
Yeah, it's a real puzzle. So at Beazley, we see, we focus on the cyber criminals, and 90% of the claims that come in insurance for cyber attacks, ransomware, are from cyber groups that are based in Russia, essentially, criminal groups that are based in Russia. And it feels like those criminal groups have not been as creative and rapid in adopting new AI techniques as we might imagine. So to start with, they were not wanting to import, GPUs and have them on-prem and run new AI models over them, train them, because that costs money and costs a lot of money. And then, they were kind of put off in the early days of AI by some purported AI tools that were put on the cyber criminal fora, things like Worm GPT that just didn't work very well. And then they started to use AI and LLMs for phishing and making phishing campaigns kind of much more compelling, making the conversion rate much higher. And now that you can download DeepSeek to the latest Mac laptop, they can start to use LLMs on a laptop without showing out on the internet. But they're still not using AI to dynamically code malware. They just haven't got that far yet. So no complacency, but at Beazley, we have not yet seen an end-to-end cyber intrusion by a criminal group driven by AI yet.
Which is really interesting. I wonder if the war has anything to do with that, to thinking about, is that what's holding back the development, and will there be an explosion at some point if there's an input of tech? That would be something that would worry me. But from the Beazley perspective, from what you have seen, what's worrying you?
I mean, look, what's really worrying me is, first of all, subversion of LLMs, because that is a thing, and malicious prompt injection has, at the right level of skill, can sometimes subvert hyperscaler LLMs. So that is worrying. And then the dawn of agentic AI, and how criminals may use AI agents to subvert them to commit fraud. Now, on the other end of the scale, we're seeing the defenders use agentic AI more and more, and we're certainly seeing AI agents don't sleep, and we're seeing particularly the financial sector and people who look after critical national infrastructure start to use agentic AI in their SOCs and in their SIEMs, and it is giving them an advantage for now against the criminals. So the exam question is, can the defenders adopt agentic AI rapidly enough to keep ahead of the criminals?
Yeah, and can they adopt it rapidly enough, but at the same time secure it in their adoption? Is that something that, on the Beazley agenda, sort of,
So
that
absolutely.
Matching security with adoption?
Yeah, so at Beazley we have a thing called the Cyber Council, which is a group of kind of 15 global experts on cyber, and there's a subgroup that is, and you sit on it. There's a subgroup that is specifically to do with AI, and we get the AI developers from key kind of frontier AI labs, and we look at what the criminals are doing with AI. And one of our biggest concerns is that they will subvert agentic AI. As agentic AI is rapidly adopted by corporates in the US and Europe and Israel, that we'll see agentic AI that would be used to pay invoices suddenly, kind of diverting the funds to another account or any other number of permutations of fraudulent use of agentic AI. And what will be really important is that the accreditation of agentic AI, where it interfaces with humans and where it interfaces with a company's computer systems.
So making sure we got some of those governance mechanisms really clearly set out,
Really
which I'm not quite sure we're there yet. Well, we have just under 2 minutes. So, from what you've seen whilst you've been here in Israel over the last day or so, what you've been hearing around, what are some of your takeaways or some of your thoughts on where you think cyber defense is going, and what are your aspirations from with your Beasley or your former GCHQ hat on?
I mean, look, it's humbling to be here in Tel Aviv, in Israel. I think the concentration of cyber expertise that is in Tel Aviv and its suburbs is unrivaled globally. And, you have here people who have real operational experience at all levels on this. They've been poachers and they've been gatekeepers. They've, done it all. And some of the ecosystem here is unrivaled. And so getting that kind of experience out into the wider West is really important, that pipeline. And I think, we've seen it wherever there's been wars and innovation around wars, just like, some of the startups coming out of Ukraine in drone warfare are starting to become consequential companies in Europe. I expect Israel to continue to be a real source of cybersecurity innovation. And so on the agentic AI point, I think some of the answers will come from here.
Well, that will be exciting to see. Sadly, we are out of time, but I want to just say a huge thank you for being here in this Fireside Chat at Cyber Week, and thank you everyone here for listening.
Thank you.